Back to our AP Laser Live. We are, as usual, we are always advancing our format and making changes to bring better content and products to you, whether you're an existing AP Laser family member or somebody who's still on the fence thinking about joining us. We are constantly working to bring you the best content we can. And I am joined today by my amazing creative co-host, Alicia. And what we're going to be doing kind of moving forward is we're not going to be doing necessarily an every week or every other week kind of live, because sometimes we're watering down the product and just reinventing the wheel and rehashing covered topics. What we're going to start focusing on is kind of doing a longer kind of podcast format type presentation for you guys at least once a month. I say at least once a month. But then we're also going to be doing kind of behind the scenes. We're going to be doing actual workshops where how-to videos, which are going to be not live, but they're going to be recorded and then edited. So we have really good solid content to give all of our existing family members to make sure that we can help enable you with all the tools to be as successful as you can. And with these podcasts, part of that success progression is going to be, we're going to start including more of our current family members who are really advancing in their success using the AP Laser products. So we'll have guests on our shows. You know, today we actually have the very esteemed Chris Alexander, who's going to share with us, you know, some of his success story. I know that he's done a lot of great things with our AP lasers and really helped our family members see the potential and the different things that you can do with our AP laser, and just the diversification of taking a small business and just being very successful with it, which I know that's what we're all striving for. Whether you're just entering into your retirement stage of your life and you want something extra to do, it's still nice to be able to make a little extra spending money while you're doing it. But also, I don't know, Alicia, correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes the feeling of creation surpasses that of any profit you might be making. Just looking at something like, I did that.
And once you discover something new, or something finally clicks with you, it's like nothing else. When I finally figured out how to do the photo engravings on our machines, that was probably the best feeling I've ever felt since I started working here. So.
And I was excited with her. And here's what I've been doing this for over 10 years now, and I consider myself really knowledgeable and experienced with the laser. I would argue that in this company, there's nobody who knows more about this laser than I do. I know it's a very bold statement to make, a very confident statement to make, but I would argue that, and I would debate it civilly. I know a lot of people just rolled their eyes at me when I said that, but I would debate that civilly with somebody, that how much I know about this laser. But when I saw what Alicia started doing with the photos, it was like, I thought I knew photos. Alicia, when she figured something out, I was like, that's what I would been going for 10 years. And I was really excited for her because she's really amazing. I think it's more that she has the patience that I don't. I have.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I am not always a finisher. That's what my wife tells me. Anyways, with my projects at home, that I have like 25 projects that I started, and I finished like 2. But I have all these great plans on getting stuff done. But Alicia's creative mind, she really helps kind of embody what we're going for and our growth here as AP Laser users. I know that I grew to the necessity of what I needed to do. I will sit down with any of you. I can give you all the basics. I can make you dangerous enough to where you can use the techniques and use the laser and develop your own styles and to exercise your own creative muscles. Okay, but I am not necessarily gonna teach you the super advanced stuff. I can, um, but a lot of that stuff is stuff you have to learn and heart and develop and hone the skills on your own because um, every machine is a little bit different, but also our own creative minds. You have to be able to find a way to see the vision of what you're creating and get there. And Alicia is really, with everything she's done, whether it was a mirror to demonstrate for a wedding or it was an award to put out for a company Christmas party, she just everything she does is kind of next level. So I mean, sorry, it's she's really inspired me, and I know she went to school at University of Michigan, and
It was just art school.
I'm not saying that has anything to do with it. I'm just saying she probably taught them a few things there when she was there. But
Well, and I will say, I mean, it helps that I do have that background using lasers. I started with the universals when I was there, and then transitioning to using the AP laser systems. It was, I mean, this getting the open box system and getting to explore all the things you can do with that has just been amazing. So,
yeah, it's um, so I know that we've been working on a lot of stuff for Christmas. I know all of you have probably been working on a lot of stuff for Christmas or the holidays because there's a lot of holidays that kind of fall around this time, whether it's Christmas or Kwanzaa or
even Hanukkah.
Hanukkah. And sorry, I was drawing a blank there. I don't know why. I feel really bad about that. But anyway, so there's a lot of holidays that kind of fall around this area. And even if you're not necessarily a big holiday time, it's still a time to be festive. And whether it's just gathering around the Festivus pole and grieving airing your grievances with your friends and family, and just we find a time of community to come together around this time. And that's kind of what we are about here in the AP Laser family. We're really about community and helping each other grow and be successful, because it enables us. I teach my kids. I'm teaching my son, who's really coming into his thing, is wrestling. My daughter also wrestles, by the way. I just have to say that she's wrestling today, and I'm missing that. But my son has been wrestling, and he's working with some younger kids during their practices and stuff. I said, well, if you really focus on that, when you teach somebody, it makes you better. So when you focus on sharing your skills with somebody, it really makes you think to yourself and really sharpen your skills even more. And I think that's one thing that has really helped our AP Laser family as a whole just go to the next level of success and creativity, is that everybody's willing to share so much.
We are not about gatekeeping here, that's
No.
for sure. And I can say, I mean, since I started, I go to our user group religiously, finding out new things and new ways to do things that I wouldn't have even thought about before. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to me. And I guess the only handicap that might cause, if it is such a thing, is that there's been times where I've seen stuff posted, or I've posted stuff from the user group. It's like, hey, can somebody show me how to make this? I'm having trouble with it. And then like 5 minutes later, somebody shoots back. It's like, here, I just made that for you. Boom, there it is, right? It's like, well, that's great. I thank you for the file, but can you show me? Can you show me how you did that? Because I don't want to keep getting it done for me every time. And
Right.
But then people will take time, whether it be a Chris Alexander or a Matt Buxton or a Bonnie Gilbert or
well,
or Frank, many of the other people that we have out there that will really help and contribute to the community. Sometimes there's some people just showing off, but that's helping, right? And other times it's genuinely, I want to help you. And
well, it's kind of building off that, and speaking of, teaching others different things, and some of the amazing people in our community, coming up at the end of January, it's just about a month out now. We've got an advanced training. It's at
Matt Buxton's place down in Florida, and who doesn't want to go to Florida anytime, much less who doesn't want to go to Florida in January, right? So if you're not signed up for that already, look for how to get signed up for our advanced training down in Okeechobee, Florida, January 26th and 27th. Okay, we're going to have Matt Buxton there. There's going to be Chris Alexander's going to be there. We're going to have our Andrew Peterson from our Supernova team's also going to be there, and Andy is also. I mean,
He's an amazing
he's
wealth of
amazing, and he's
knowledge.
also another guy. He does this every day, all day, multiple times a day, creating files for monuments and stuff. So it's really going to be a great workshop, a great getaway, a great release, a great fellowship or community. Gathering of like-minded individuals that want to get better, but also want to share, but also want to just network and meet people in our AP Laser family. It's going to be a great time, great experience. I unfortunately won't be there for this one because I have some commitments I have to do for our state VFW. We have a state meeting for the VFW, so I won't be able to be there for the advanced training, but I will definitely be there with you in spirit.
As will I.
And, but it will be. I promise you, it will be a great time, and nobody knows how to host an event quite like Mac Buxton. I'm going to tell you now. So,
If you want to find out more about that, you can go to our main website, and if you go over to the resources, we have the events tab there, and you give you all the fun information, everything you're going to learn, as well as the registration fee, and then you can just register right from that page as well. But if you have any other questions, we've got a couple contacts at the bottom for you to reach out to. But we're super excited to be hosting this. It was really fun last year, and I think it's going to be even better this year, especially with Chris going. You're going to learn a lot.
yeah, I was looking to go, but unfortunately, I mean, I have to maintain my personal life as well, and commitments. I can't. I have to find and there's really. I mean, I'm. I would just be there in support because the minds we have going are still teaching me, and so what do I? Well, where am I best suited right now? And right now it's letting the pros handle this, and it's gonna be a great meeting. It's gonna be a great time, great advanced training. And I mean, we're gonna have Chris Alexander there, but we also have Chris Alexander with us here today. Um,
See if we
Chris,
get
can
him
you
on.
unmute your computer screen there?
Hey guys, how are you?
How you doing, Chris?
Hey,
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Uh, so, Chris, we were talking with Chris before the thing started, and he's got a lot of projects he's been doing, and I know he's slammed at Christmas and setting up jobs afterwards. But can you tell us a little bit about your business and some of the stuff you do? I know it's for some people it might be like a broken record, but I know there's some fresh minds that want to know. So,
Sure, I'm trying to get this little ray of sunshine out of the way, but yeah. So I started my business back in 2020, and it's Elite Laser Engraving. Started out as I had all these dreams of when I got my 1812. I had a list of things that I was going to do, and so I started at the top of that list was going to be photographs, and I haven't left that yet. That part of my interest yet. Everything that I do has been photographs. So I still have a list of things that I want to create that is endless at this point. But I've had so much success with the photographs that everybody's asking for photographs. They want memorials engraved. They do my ornaments engraved. They have the slate that I engrave. People are asking now if I can engrave on cups images, and that's a challenge that I'm getting ready to take on, because if somebody within the group is able to learn that and then be able to share it with everybody else, it just makes the group all that much stronger. It makes your business all that much stronger. So when somebody learns something, and I've had the amazing luck, I want to say, of learning it a little bit quicker than some other people, but that doesn't, I'm able to show that with everybody else. And to be honest with you, my business has gone from mainly, a sole, just me, myself, and I. My business now is part of helping out, other people with AP lasers. So I become part of not just, an owner, But I'm not employed by AP Laser, but I do a lot of traveling with you guys, and I go and
Mhm.
I teach people all about image work. So, my business
Yeah.
continues to grow. I keep telling everybody that I'm the king of slackers. I retired back in 2020 as well, so I'm a retired firefighter. Um, it gives me a lot of time to work on the laser, but it also gives me a lot of free time. And so my busiest time of the season is now. It was started back in October, and it'll go right up. I was just telling the guys, Alicia and Aaron earlier, that I'm down to my final four projects for the holiday. Um,
Thank goodness,
and
right?
we're talking, oh my gosh, yeah, we're talking, over 1,000 ornaments that I produced. I'm looking at probably around 1,200 Yetis that were made for corporate gifts. I had unique gifts this year where they were leather ear tags for cows, but they were novelties. They were actually used for name tags and phone numbers. So, I pretty much don't turn down a lot of the projects that I take on, but I have the flexibility of deciding what I want to do and what I don't want to do. And the things that I'm comfortable with doing, I have no problem accepting those jobs. And the ones that I don't, I may not accept it right away, but that's something that I have the flexibility of saying, well, give me if you have time, let me learn, or figure out how to give you the best result, and then go from there. So, but the
Right.
business has been super, super kind to me. But it didn't come without hard work. I do a lot of networking. Um, I could do a heck of a lot more. My family, my son and my wife are always encouraging me to open an Etsy page, to do a little more marketing. I like the word of mouth advertising. It's worked out well for me. Again, by word of mouth, I sent out over 1,000 ornaments this holiday. And again, they go all over the place, not just in the United States, but they go outside. Um, Across the ocean and below and above the borders. And so, things like that, it doesn't come without, having a little bit of a reputation. But I'm sure if I, did open an Etsy page, if I did a little more marketing, I could certainly do a lot better than where I'm at now. But again, being retired, I like the flexibility. So
Right, right.
that's
And
where
that's
where
huge.
yeah,
You still have to,
I'm in a little
get that work life balance in there. Don't burn yourself out. It's so easy to do for especially people just getting into the business to just run yourself down into the ground.
A lot of the
what
AP Laser family members I've talked to, and it kind of alludes to the conversation we had a little bit beforehand, Chris, is they love the ability, whether their shop is at home or their shop is at the office or they have a rental space in town or whatever. They just love the flexibility and freedom to report to work when they want to. They wake up, they make a cup of coffee, they go downstairs, they look at the machine, they set up a couple jobs, they start running a job, and or if they're going down to the shop, they feel like they want to work through the night, and they can do that. They can still control their schedule to be able to do things with everyday life. Whether somebody says, "Hey, we're having a Christmas party on this day," blah blah blah, whatever. Like, oh yeah, I can make it, and then they can just adjust their schedule to however they need to accommodate, having a social life and living or living their life and socializing with other people. And it's the freedoms that it does to kind of make you your own business owner. Or we have the people who are full time employed that are doing this as I hate the term side hustle, but as a supplemental way to make um, a little bit of extra spending money by doing a hobby. I mean, I have a lot of hobbies that I do, and only a couple of them I can make money off of. But it's nice to be able to have that freedom to just create and share your the joy that you create with other people, and just I know I'm going down a rabbit hole here, but it's or going off track. I think that's where I'm at. But anyway, sorry, Chris. Um,
No, 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 that's good. Yeah, I mean, I think people have this fascination with the image work, and I'll tell you, once it's not people can't how to process or edit an image in the beginning, and they try all these things, but they're trying them without a clear path. And I think that's where people get so frustrated. And I want to say it's not just with image work, but it could be with any of the initial owners and users of AP Laser, that they start out with a project, and they start making promises before they can actually produce. And I think that adds to the frustration. And, I've been tasked with making a memorial for a loved one or for a customer, and but you had never done it before. And so I get that a lot from people in the user group, saying, "Hey, listen, I have an image to do, but I've only had my laser for 2 weeks." And I'm always willing to help people out, but I think what it comes down to is that you really have to have a grasp for your machine, really kind of know the limitations of it, and what to expect from it. So there are things that the laser can do, and there are things that the laser that cannot do, and the editing has a lot to do with that.
Yeah,
Being able to edit a
that's
picture,
huge.
yeah, relatively easy, but in once you get the concept, I mean, I can do when I'm doing my ornaments, for example, I could be running an ornament, and from the time I try and tell people that from the time that I do the edit, from the time I want it on my laser, is no more than 15 minutes. That's including the entire runtime of the ornament. So we're talking about average 7 minute runtime on the laser, and I'm looking between 6 and 8 minutes of editing, if that, sometimes less. So, you know, that and I'm sure, some of you guys have seen the posts that I've done. They're very realistic. And so with a little bit of, knowledge behind you, you can learn the work, learn the edits, and then just be on your way. And it's just nothing but a success story after that. You pretty much,
Right.
pretty much charge what you want once you have something like that, and then experiment on different materials, and then the sky's the limit.
Yeah, it's definitely, taking that time to learn your machine and learn, whatever editing skills you need to know or different things like that. I mean, I've been here for about a year now, a little bit over, and I'm just now, like, it just clicked on how to do photos. So,
Yeah,
and that's with
yeah,
me having, 4 years of background in, design as well as working with lasers before this. So
You know,
it is a journey you have to go down.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's the background in design, as much as it helps you, can also hinder you a little bit because what you're learning in school for design work and stuff like that is sometimes slightly different than what we're looking for on the laser and whatnot. So sometimes I think, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it may be just learning those nuances that you need to learn for the laser, and why this may, designing this way may be the best way to design it for print, for like a
mm,
print kind of design. But when we're talking about a laser, there's a couple things we need to know when it comes to shading and tones and stuff like that. So,
oh yeah, yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Hmm.
but, um,
Well, I know. So you started your journey with the 1812, but since
Yeah.
then, I know you've got a couple expansions going on there. So you tell us a little bit about kind of your setup and like your kind of daily routine there to get started.
Yeah, so I mean, basically, my routine realistically is, I take orders 4 hours a day, 7 days a week for the most part. Everything is usually done, either I prefer to speak to my customers. A lot of people, have the technology of texting and things, and so usually the introduction is done through a text or through an email. And I like to speak with my customers. I want to be, that one-on-one with them to really kind of get a feel for what they want. Once I have that idea of what they want, I go ahead and I go into my design phase. So if I'm not doing a picture and I'm doing just something where it's a cup or something like that, I'll go ahead and I do a majority of my designing just in Lightburn because of the versatility of it. Um, but I'll set up my design or I'll edit my image, and I give the customer basically the option of looking at that. either through a sample. I use a lot of black liquor board when I'm doing
Hmm.
images. If I'm doing cups or something like that, I do the painter's tape. Sorry, this sun is really getting to be a bother, but let me see if I can move it out of the way. But I'll do the painter's tape on the bottles there, and
Hmm.
and I'll actually run real samples, and I'll show them to customers and say, hey, do you like this? And so again, this is a really good example of the some of the image work that I do. But I will this is for me this was just a test piece, and it goes into I'll sand it down and reuse it again at another time. But and so once they've approved the artwork or the image work, then I go ahead and I put it on the material that they want it on. So it could be cutting board, it could be basswood, it could be slate or granite or anything like that. And so while my journey with granite is pretty limited, it is a journey. It's something that I keep improving on every time I play around with it. I was lucky enough where I got to sit in on one of Andy's presentations from Supernova, and what an amazing creator he is, and the work
Hmm.
that they put out just blows me away. And where in Lightburn and my editing, I'm really at a very high DPI. Those guys never operate anything above 150 DPI, and the stuff they put out is just absolutely mind blowing. And
And
so,
that's
it's nice to be able to.
yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Thinking of like the DPIs and everything, everybody always thinks that you need to be like, 1,000 every time, and that's gonna look
No,
really good
no,
on your computer screen, but it's
yeah.
not gonna
Okay,
come out quite right.
let me add a little bit to this where I might lose some people, but let me push up my glasses here for this. It's it's what my kids would do to it's some techie type stuff because techie sounds better than nerdy. Um, what a lot of people get lost in is they don't understand the science with the laser, and when we're working with the laser, we're working with a focal point on the lens. So that focal point brings your concentration of the laser beam down to a certain, I'm gonna call it a pip size or circle size, dot size, and that dot size is relatively around um, 3.5 thousandths by four, between 3.5 thousandths to 5 thousandths of an inch in diameter. So, which roughly translates to around no lower than like a 300 DPI thing. But when people try to run it at like 300 DPI or higher, that's 300 is really the maximum you should ever really try to focus on certain things when you're doing photos, because what you're doing is you're creating an overlap. So if it only moves up a certain step, now you're starting to overlap your previous line of engravings, which can actually work against you and start washing out a picture. This isn't always true because you might use an inch and a half lens or work with another substrate that doesn't absorb the energy as much. So there is some room for fudging with certain materials, but that's what you're going to play with. But mainly, when we're working with lasers, sometimes less is more. And not only that, but it's also going to be shorter run times too. Better products, shorter run times, and nobody likes to wait nowadays. But anyways, so the science for that is again just that when that laser beam concentrates down and gets that little dot, is we want to make sure that our next line isn't overlapping that same line, because then we're just washing out our detail. So we want to losing detail by trying to go to a higher DPI and running it at a higher DPI. Now, it doesn't mean you can't add your image at a higher DPI and then when you process it, bring it down, but never start down and try to go up.
Yeah, kind of building off of that, that runtime is a huge thing. I mean, I like to play with halftones, and with halftones you can get away with some pretty high DPIs, but it's going to make your runtime at least twice as long, if not longer, than it would, and look just maybe a tiny bit better than it
Mm-hmm.
would just as 300 DPI in Jarvis, which I think that's what you primarily use, if I'm right, Chris.
Yeah, that's my go-to. If I'm doing everything other than glass, if I'm doing the painted glass or the floating images, I'll work in halftone in the floating images, but everything else, slate, slate and basswood or regular wood is going to be at 300 DPI. Yeah, and then granite is going to be anywhere between 275 and 150 DPI.
Now, we like to boast about, like our technical support and different things like that, especially if you're running into different issues on your lasers, we really like to help. And we've already talked about how much our community helps each other. But what are like some of the issues you've faced when you starting out? I know you said you've taken the time to kind of hone your craft before putting things out, but what are kind of some of the things you've run into that you've had to troubleshoot along the way?
So I'll be 100% honest with you. I've only had to call support only a handful of times, and the largest, or I want to say the most troublesome problem that I had was I had a bad stepper motor, and I kept getting these random lines that ran through my cups I was running, and they had me troubleshoot that for maybe 15, 20 minutes. We had it figured out, and I had the part the very next day. They shipped it out, and I live in Connecticut, you guys are in Michigan, and they overnighted the part to me, and I had it easily took it apart and put it right back again. That's the other great thing I like about the AP laser. I've changed out my laser tubes. We've shot that. I just had a dig tube. I mean, the 1812 is the majority of I do my work on. I've had it for 3 years. They say it's good for 1,000 hours, and I topped mine out at just over 3,000 hours before I needed to replace the tube. But they've gave me great advice on how to line the tube back up again. So my experience with some customer support has been awesome. I think I did have a few, questions about using the Ruida controller and stuff like that in the beginning. But I'm going to be honest with you, a majority of my information came from the user group. People like Matt Buxton, people like Jeremy Gross and Holly. Those guys are a wealth of knowledge when it comes to working with these machines. They've all had one. I mean, Matt has, I think, every one of them. Jeremy and Holly have, at least 3 AP lasers. And so bouncing these questions off of these guys or putting it in the user group, I usually get that answer within a half an hour or even less. So between the two, support and the user group, it's 5-star service. You can't ask for anything better.
Yeah, the service you were talking about, that's really the great thing I emphasize again in our AP Laser family. If you're already part of our AP Laser family, you understand that. You understand what you probably already start to have a feel of what we're talking about, where everybody's just so willing to help out and share their knowledge and experience. But we do have training. Every machine does come with training and support, and the support is 24/7. A world-class technical support team, 24/7, 844-364-8211. That when you call, you need a part, you need a stepper motor, you need a mirror, you need a lens, you need help because you can't get past this and you got a roadblock. You didn't take as many notes as you should have when Chris Alexander was here. So you're trying to remember what you need to do. If you call our 24/7 tech support team, it's not just when you're having problems, it's also when you're hitting mental roadblocks, and it kind of help you over the hump of banging my head against the wall. I know there's a simple way to do this. How do I do it? Well, our support team's there to help you. And if you call and the rep who's helping you doesn't know himself, they make sure that they get you in touch with someone who does as part of the team. They don't just leave you stranded and be like, well, good luck to you. No, we support you along the way because your success is our success. But really just when you get our training, it is going to be kind of like I talked about earlier. We're going to give you the basics, the safety, the how to get started, how to push go, how to create your basic files and stuff. But the advanced training, the advanced learning, the advanced techniques is really something you have to pick up as you go along. Okay? I know we all want to hit the ground running, and some of us are capable of doing that, and it comes easier for some of us than others. But there also has to be an understanding that we are, for some people, until they started looking at our AP laser product. They didn't even necessarily know that this was a thing. Okay, I know when I first started, my fascination still has not left. 10 years later, and I'm still in awe every time I fire this thing up. I grin a little bit, I smile like it's a laser, and it goes. I love it. And so there's a lot of times we're still grasping the science behind what we're doing and trying to understand how it's doing what it's doing. So we have to allow ourselves time to kind of develop and take a building block at a time. If you learn something new every day, something new every couple days, something new every week, eventually you have this immense toolbox and bag of tricks that you can do. But don't try to do it all at once, okay? Don't try to use every tool all at one time coming out the gate, because some of the tools you don't even know what it's used for, okay? So I might do something for granite or acrylic, or granite and acrylic that is different than what I'm going to do for wood, that's different than what I'm going to do for a tumbler, that's different than what I'm going to do for this. So they all have their kind of applications. Whether we're doing glass and need a Dawn dish soap, I don't need Dawn dish soap for everything. I don't need Dawn dish soap for glass necessarily, but I might have my techniques or other people's techniques that work for certain things. So it's kind of, if you just focus on learning a new trick every week, set a goal. Go look at putting stuff down, like, hey, I'm going to go to user group and I'm going to ask a question. How do you do this? How does the community do this? Everybody wants to share how they do it. Like, oh, I'm going to put that away in my pocket and I'm going to save it and I'm going to work on something for that. Next week, I'm going to choose something else. And then every time I learn something, it's just a building block. It's a piece of the puzzle and keep going there. And we've really built a family unlike any other out there. I don't know of another laser company, a CNC community, a woodworking community. There might be some in the woodworking community, but or whether you're buying a car or whether you're buying whatever, nothing quite has the family that we've built here with the AP Laser family, where you want to hang out with these people. You want to find an opportunity to come to an advanced training at Matt Buxton's place, and for any other reason to meet the people that you're talking to every day on the AP Laser user group and our Before You Buy group, or you want to go to our LaserCon. The next one's happening, I'm pretty sure, in Ohio around May or something like that. But
I think mid-May.
Mid-May, yeah, it's gonna be at a Kalahari, which is gonna be it's a water park too, but it's gonna be a kind of a lot of fun. So I mean, unless you if you don't want to have a lot of fun, then don't come. But if you're looking to have a really good time, you got to come to one of our laser cons, because sometimes they get unhinged in a good way though. They had a lot of time, a lot of fun, a lot of good hanging out. But anyways, that family we're building, you're gonna talk to people like Chris. Chris is not a unicorn. I know he likes to think he is, but he is a great success story, and he is just one that is really a great supporter of ours and helping share his success story. But we have a lot of success stories out there that share kind of behind the scenes, and you can become part of that. You can become part of that family. And while we have Chris on the line still, can we talk about some questions? Does anybody have any questions? Chris Alexander, have you converted your 1812 to a lowrider?
I have the lowrider set up here at the house. I don't have it set up on my 1812 currently. Again, there's a lot of new things happening come the first of the year. So I'll be mostly converting. It sounds like the 2816 will get converted to a lowrider. I already have the conversion for the 812. I have yet to put it together. And for those of you guys that don't know, I am currently in possession of a fiber laser from AP Laser. So I have the 30-watt AP Laser fiber that I'll be doing some work with, and look forward to doing a lot of testing with that. And then we'll be sharing what I've learned with that as well. So, I mean, the new year is bringing around a lot of great things. Aaron mentioned that I'll be over in Florida at Matt's place, and it's going to be a great session as well. It's not going to be as intense as the clinic that we just recently had in Michigan last month, but you're going to get a lot of great information out of there. I'm starting to do a little better on my presentations as far as getting that knowledge out as quickly as possible, as easily as possible. And, they said they spoke earlier about Alicia having an art background or and that type of background where it's helped her along with her editing and things like that, or transition into the laser world. I came into this with no computer skills whatsoever. I mean, I knew how to type, type and go into Word and things like that, but I had no editing skills or anything like that. So I don't want people to feel intimidated by learning this. There's this light learning curve when it comes to this. AT Laser comes with Corel, the Corel suite, or you can purchase it with that. That's what they use. We've come into a lot of contact with people that use Photoshop. They're all pretty much the same. You just have to figure out where Photoshop would be under one tab. Corel's function might be under another tab. It's all basically the same thing. And there are plenty of other softwares out there that will do that. But mainly, come Florida, we're going to go over some steps and tips and tricks on how to get your editing skills up to par, what to look for, and things like that. I also mentioned that they have the LaserCon coming up. That's going to be in Ohio. I'll be also there as well. Now, for those of you that haven't attended, in the demo floor for about 10 to 12 hours. I'm
Yeah.
there well before everybody gets there, and I'm usually there well after everybody leaves, helping new users out and going over little mini clinics on how to improve your image work. So, a lot of good things happening in here. So if you guys are interested in going to either one of those, and I've always told people that I am available. So if you have any questions, contact me through Messenger or through the user group directly. So yeah, a lot of great things happening.
Yeah. Is there any other questions in the chat that we've
You
seen,
know,
Aaron?
I didn't see any questions in the chat. I did see Toby May said he's considering converting his to a lowrider, and the lowrider, from the feedback I've gotten from our family members, is that is a great. Is a great addition when they have the need for it, right? So it allows you just to kind of have a full up and down control of the laser head rather than trying to bring carts and stuff in and tables and jigs and boards and props to try to raise a product up. You can leave stuff down low on whatever cart you have or table you have and bring the laser machine down to it. So it does give you another level of freedom. So if you're really thinking about switching to the, if you're thinking about switching to the lowrider and converting to a lowrider when it's available to you, and you don't, you're gonna keep wondering if you should have until you do. I mean, that in my experience, the only time I regretted not doing something is when I really wanted to do it, and I didn't. I mean, I'm not trying to force a sale upon you. I'm just thinking, if you feel that there's an urge or need or a possibility that you might need to have a lowrider machine and you don't do it, you're going to just be left wondering what could have happened if you did do it. I mean, if you want to open yourself up to some more product ability to do stuff on the laser, then, I mean, go ahead and pull the trigger and get that lowrider. I promise you, you're not going to lose money on it. Okay.
And I will say, just kind of building more up on that January training, if monuments are your jam, if that's the business that you're going into, doing memory care, different heavy things like granite headstones, the lowrider is a game changer. I mean, getting to just bring it down to that heavy object and not have to move these giant things is huge.
Frank asked, when will the adjustable third mirror retrofit be available for the 1812? That is something I know that they're working on, finalizing production and manufacturing and making sure that everything's going to be a smooth and easy retrofit. We want to make sure that when we have something that's tested, proven true, and not going to be a hassle for the end user. So I can't give you any definitive dates like that, Frank, but if you check back with this car support team, they might be able to give you a little more insight on it. Again, that number is 844-364-8211. our world-class AP Laser tech support team. I did have a question that was asked. We had a series of questions that were asked and answered on our social media venues, and there's one that I really want to focus on, especially this time of year. There was somebody asked, so is the pink RV antifreeze okay to use in your laser? No. Is it going to permanently damage your laser? No. Is it going to damage your laser? Yes. So here's the thing. RV antifreeze, we used to promote RV antifreeze until, like I said, I've been here for 10 years, so I saw the evolution and progression of the coolant that goes in, whether it be distilled water or reverse osmosis, clean water that is sterilized to a point where we're not growing bacteria and stuff from our machine, to I actually was using RV antifreeze in some of our lasers, and I started noticing evaporation and coagulation that was leading to permanent damage to the laser tube and the cooling system, which those are replaceable items, but they cost you money, and a laser tube can be in excess of $1,000 after you get done with shipping and everything like that. So my recommendation is to absolutely do not use the RV antifreeze or any other auto antifreeze for that matter, because they're going to be made with an ethyl alcohol or something of that matter. Now, ethyl alcohol actually has a lower freezing, or has a higher freezing point than what I developed a coolant and antifreeze, AP Laser coolant and antifreeze, which we sell at our AP Laser web store. You can go to our aplaser.com/shop, and you can get to our web store where you can find our AP Laser coolant and antifreeze. You order it to get sent to you, and that is made with a vegetable glycerin base, a non-toxic base that will also protect the laser from freezing, but will also maintain a level of lubrication and coolant. So not just in the wintertime, but also in the summertime, it's a dual purpose coolant and antifreeze that you should use year round. And I say you should change it like you change your air filters on your furnace or your air conditioner. Change it with the seasons. So when you change your, every 6 months or so, go ahead and do a flush on the system and put in a new coolant. You treat it as an expendable item that needs to be serviced and maintained, like an oil change or a coolant change on your vehicle. You want to protect the laser. This is an investment that's going to really prolong the life of your laser and your cooling system, and also protect you against a deep freeze. And we've seen, whether you're in Texas, Florida, or anywhere else, it doesn't freeze until it does. And nobody the past few years have been safe from the freeze. I know I have friends and family and AP Laser family members and personal family members from all over the country, and I myself am from Florida. And last year at Christmas, we did this certain thing on Cocoa Beach called Surfing Santas, where we go to the event, and it was freezing rain in Cocoa Beach, Florida. My aunt called it snow, and I'm like, no, it's freezing rain. And my uncle was like, just let her have it, right? But either way, it was freezing in Cocoa Beach, Florida. It can freeze anywhere. So definitely get that AP Laser coolant, because it's going to protect the machine when it's hot and cold, and let you run long, high-intense power jobs I tested it. I ran my machine at 100% power at a consistent cut for more than an hour, and it didn't go above 82 degrees Celsius. Okay, that is key, because when your laser tube gets hotter, it shortens the life of the gas mixtures that are in that laser tube. So when you're, a lot of people say, well, my laser tube's rated for 10,000 hours. My laser tube's rated for 8,000 hours. My laser tube's supposed to be rated for an eternity. Well, they're rated for, which is not exact science, okay? So you're like, well, my laser hasn't been on for 10,000 hours. Oh, no, but you've been cutting a lot of stuff at 100% for like days at a time. You run your laser pretty hard, it shortens the life of the tube. So they are rated. Your car is also rated to drive at 65, 55 miles an hour for 300,000 miles. But if you run your car at 85 miles an hour every day, all day for 150,000 miles, you're going to have a few more maintenance problems than you do when you run it at my wife calls it old man speed. I call it gas mileage speed. So if you're watching, honey, I'm saving money. But anyway, so I just want to emphasize enough, especially during this time, don't use the pink antifreeze anymore. If you have pink RV antifreeze in there now, order the AP Lazer antifreeze and coolant and flush it out and cycle in the good stuff and then protect your laser for a long time. And if at minimum, you should be using distilled water or reverse osmosis water, some kind of purified water that's not going to grow bacteria. And even then, you still need to replace that stuff after a while because it's going to get contaminants introduced. So you want to do some cleaning and some flushing. I have a video out there on how to do a flush. I have a video out there how to do a flush and a cleaning with using, I think I used white vinegar. A solution in there. So if you want to look that up on our YouTube channel, that should be out there somewhere. But definitely, so John Little asked, can a 2616 be converted to a lowrider? Yes, it can. Yes, it can.
I think the sky's the limit with ours.
Call your AP Laser salesperson and ask them if they have a timeline yet, because I don't know the dates on this stuff yet. If the conversions are available or what you need to do to get a conversion for that or get on a list. But if you're interested in converting any of your AP Laser products that aren't currently low rider to low rider, there's going to be conversions available. But if they're not available already, get on a list so we can call you like, hey, guess what? It's coming out in a month or whatever. I don't know when it's coming out, but definitely contact your salesperson or our AP Laser support team. Frank, we will definitely use you as a guinea pig. We'll probably bring you back as a guest on that. Speaking of guest, do we know who our next guest is? Do we have anybody lined up yet, or are we working on?
We're still working.
We're working on. I promise you, we're going to have somebody exciting. Okay, whether we have at some point, I know we're going to have Frank back. I don't think he's going to be next, but we might have a Bonnie Gilbert. We might have a Matt Buxton. We might have another AP Laser family member out there that just wants to become part of this. If you're interested in joining us on these podcasts, please send an email to aplaserlive@aplaser.com. Let us know who you are, what machine you have, what your business is. Tell us about yourself and what you want to contribute and what you want to talk about. And we're going to be working on setting up guests throughout the year and into as long as we can forecast to really have you, our family members, be a part of this experience and sharing with our other AP Laser family members. And who knows, it might give you some motivation to come up with some new techniques and really lock in your own procedures to become part of this and join us. And we'd love to have any of you join us. We'll also, we're going to start doing some other kind of fun stuff, whether it be AP Laser web store giveaways and stuff like that. We're going to be doing a lot more podcasty kind of stuff, but also kind of fun and interactive type stuff. For those of you who join us today, thank you all for sticking with us. Alicia, as usual, great to have you here. Chris, big thank you to Chris.
Thank you.
Anytime we can have Chris here, it is I feel privileged. Like, Chris is here. So I'm excited that I only get that way over a few guests, and you're definitely on that list. And I appreciate all your contribution. I look forward to hanging out with you in May at LaserCon. Unfortunately, hopefully I can make that one, but I'm worried about softball season interfering with that because I also am coaching high school softball. So we'll have to see how that goes. But either way, thank you all for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Make sure you click like and subscribe, put the thumbs up, click the bell, click the bell to get notifications, because again, we're going to be releasing our how-tos or our workshop portions are going to be kind of released at different times and separate from our YouTube lives. Our live shoots are going to be a little bit more podcasty, but we're going to have more of those workshops too. There might be a little bit of break during the holidays because we're going to be on a skeleton crew here, because I know tomorrow I leave for Florida. Said it earlier, I'm leaving for Florida, and I'm not looking back until I get back in next year. So sorry, but even I need a vacation. But make sure you're subscribing to our channel so you can get notifications when those how-tos are coming out. If you have suggestions, again, submit your suggestions or requests or questions to aplaserlive@aplaser.com. Thank you again, Chris and Alicia, and we will see you next time.